Now in their second season, Leadership of the Leaf with more cigar knowledge and more leadership insights. Two great leaders smoking great cigars. Here's our host, Austin and Dice. Grab a drink and jump in with a cut and a light.
All right. Welcome, everyone. This is another episode of Leadership of the Leaf. My name is Dice.
And I'm Austin.
Whoa. What's up, Mr. Austin?
What's going on?
Let's see. What cigar are you smoking today, sir?
Ooh, today I am smoking the JFR Corojo Robusto, and it's a Nicaraguan puro. It's got a closed foot and a pigtail, but it's spicy. Obviously, the first time I lit it up, it's got the closed foot, right? So I was expecting spice. Man, this one punched me. Got some black pepper in there, but it's good. It's good. Very, very good so far. It's mellowed out a little bit, so I'm excited to get into it. And I decided to pair that with a new whiskey I found today. Actually,
a new whiskey.
A new whiskey. Well, it's new to me.
Okay.
I just found it today.
How did you come across that whiskey? What did? Yes, please explain.
All right, so I went to dinner, and at dinner, they had an option of a whiskey flight. Well, if anybody knows me and knows my whiskey tastes, this was a no-brainer.
You got me.
You got me. So, I paid my money to try 3 different types of whiskey. I had Blanton's. Love Blanton's. It's good whiskey. I had this new whiskey, which is a Old Dominick Hulling Station straight wheat whiskey. And then I had another one, which I was not super impressed with, which is why I don't really remember the name, but it was ocean aged rye cask or something like that. Jefferson's ocean aged cask, I think. Something along those lines.
Oh, we're going to have people writing in like, oh,
I can't wait. Yeah. I just said I didn't care for it as much. It was good. It's just more rye than I wanted. Okay. But anyway, so I was drinking the Blantons, and I was like, oh, this is such good stuff. And I was telling the wife how I wanted to buy some Blantons. And she said, okay, fine, whatever. And then I got to the second whiskey, which was this Hulling Station from Old Dominick Distillery down in Memphis, Tennessee. And I fell in love.
All right.
It's got grassy notes like a light honey finish. It's good.
That's good. That's nice. A flight of whiskey, a flight of really anything is a good way to get a variety mix. I like it. Yeah,
exactly. But
it worked for you. You went out and bought a bottle.
Yeah, I know, right? They got me, coach. What are you smoking, Mr. Dice?
I picked up Rocky Patel's birthday cigar.
Ooh.
The Rocky Patel 60. It was released 2022, I believe, for his 60th birthday. And of course, I got the 6x60 in size.
Of course.
I guess you had to. Now, I had other sizes, but I wanted this 6x60 because it was a 60.
Right, of course.
And it's a birthday celebratory 60-year-old cigar, 60 years birthday. So, of course, old-fashioned.
Oh, an
Hennessy old-fashioned. I got to make sure people know that. Hennessy old-fashioned.
Let's be honest.
Somebody
here.
might not know. They might not. They'd be like, oh, he's drinking something different.
No. I thought a Hennessy old-fashioned is just a sidecar.
No. They're 2 different drinks. Two different drinks, my friend.
Okay.
We will box in the streets.
But I thought you didn't lay your hands on nobody. You respect your fellow man too much.
Yeah. All that jazz.
For anyone wanting to know, I've seen this man throw hands.
Oh, wait, no. Strike that from the record. Let's see. Let's talk about our cigar topics here.
All right. So we're going to talk about the phases of tasting cigars.
Yeah, I was reading the show notes about this one, and I get it. I'm very confident. We went over quite a few of these. I think we should dive a little deeper in the actual tasting process, because the reason why is because we taste cigars and we talk about our first thirds and second thirds and all this jazz on the show. So I feel that it was right to go ahead and let the people know.
No, I agree. Yeah, we've talked about pairings. We've talked about how to taste. Why it's important to try to. But yeah, this is great. I was reading the show notes. I was a slacker, so I got to the show notes a little bit late, but that's okay.
That's why we have notes.
That's why we got notes. So I don't forget anything. The real reason we have notes, people, is so I don't forget anything. Let that be known.
Try to keep us on track somehow, right?
Somebody's got to.
Just a little brief, the leadership portion?
Yes, leadership portion.
It's going to be methods and techniques for communicating change. Changes. Okay. Tupac did it better.
Yeah. And let's stick to our day jobs. All right. So, phases of tasting cigars. So, when you smoke a cigar, the initial flavors that you taste are often different from the notes you pick up in the middle and the end. So, this is because a cigar's taste does change as you smoke it.
Yeah, you're heating up the tobacco from cold start to now it's warming up in the middle to even the smoke traveling down the chamber.
Right. Well, and yeah, as your cigar heats up and you draw that smoke from the tip of where you first lit it all the way through the cigar to where you cut it and puffing it on it, that smoke is going to change the flavor of the cigar throughout that entire smoke.
Yeah, I know we have discussed many different flavor notes and all kinds of things on air with our listeners. But I have to throw this in there that please remember, everyone's palates are different. We have smoked the same cigar on air before, and we both got different cigar notes, cigar flavors on our palates. It's atmosphere, time of day, what you're drinking, what did you eat for lunch, dinner, mood, all that plays a part. So please understand, flavors and palates are different per person, per each time.
And that, if you think about it, it makes sense, right? So certain people like mushrooms or pineapple or whatever. Other people don't like mushroom, whatever, right? Because their palates are different. Oh, this tastes too battery acid to me. This tastes too, earthy to me, and I don't like the truffle type flavor. My wife made risotto, and it was too Parmesan-y for me. It was overpoweringly tasted like a truffle. Like it was garlic and Parmesan, and those flavors mixed together the way she made it. It just tasted like a fungus, like a truffle type thing. And I was just, it was good. Like I could taste the Parmesan, I could taste the garlic, but overwhelmingly, it just, my mind went to a truffle, and I was like, no, I'm not a fan of this. She loved it.
Was it a regular risotto or is it special?
No, okay. It was regular old risotto. She made it per a recipe she found that said original risotto.
Okay, we'll discuss a little further off air.
Yeah, it was, like I said, it was good. It just wasn't for me. She liked it, but it wasn't for me. Different palates.
Okay.
But when you're learning how to smoke cigars, you need to know what to expect as you develop your palate and become acquainted with the phases a cigar goes through from beginning to end.
That's something that's developed over time of smoking cigars, because I can guarantee, without a shadow of a doubt, my palate and my outlook on cigars are completely different from year one to whatever year I'm on now.
Yeah. to now to present.
Yeah.
No, I agree. I 100% agree. I've talked about this before. I used to smoke Gurkhas a lot. I smoked a Camacho, Connecticut, and I was like, this is the greatest cigar ever. I was like, it's light, it's creamy, oh, it's so good, goes great with a nice coffee. I was drinking caramel macchiato. I was like, this is perfect. What could get better than this? And I started developing my palate. I went back to a Camacho, Connecticut, and it just was not as good. Just wasn't as good as I had originally thought about it. But I went back to it like 2 years later. Well, in that time, my palate had changed.
Like, bitch.
Yep. Yeah. But so the most common tasting notes, and usually in most premium cigars, are kind of like nuts, sweet. You got woody, spicy, coffee, earthy, natural, tobacco, leather. You hear us talk about cedar a lot, type flavors. And those all come from those different types of leaves that go into a cigar. The different types of tobacco, the binder, the filler, the wrapper, all determine the cigar's flavor profile, right? Mine is a Nicaraguan puro cigar. I expect this to be a little bit toothy and a little bit peppery. I expect it. I expect the spice because it's from Nicaragua.
I don't know how true this is, whatever, right? But I've listened to other cigar aficionados and whoever else in the industry, and they actually try to gear a lot of their flavors at the beginning of their process towards figs and raisin, and then they build off of that profile. Now, I don't know how much of that I actually believe. It could be true. I don't know. The reason why I say I don't really believe that as much is a lot of cigars I've had, majority of them, I don't get fig. I don't get raisins. There's a few I kind of get, like maybe in a cold draw here and there, but it's not the number one that I would say I've got. I wouldn't say, ooh, figs.
Yeah. No, I agree. And the palate development, the developmentation of your palate, it also depends on what you eat and what you ingest, right? Like you drink, what you eat, all this stuff, because those are your experiences. That's what you're going to draw off of.
That's true.
To say this is what I'm tasting in this cigar, right? So if you eat a lot of raisins, a lot of figs, you're going to have those flavors ingrained. If you don't eat that, but you do some woodworking and you get that wood dust in the air, and you can kind of taste the pine and the oak and the cedar, and you can kind of get those different smells in your mind, and that you might get those a little bit more. Those will probably be a little bit more prevalent because you've spent time developing that aspect of your palate.
Yeah. Well, I know these cigar manufacturers, cigar makers, cigar blenders, and all that. Each of the elements is assembled to try to combat or to engage with the fermenting and aging of the tobaccos to achieve their peak flavor, smoothness before uniting them to the rollers to create this art that we smoke. So I do know it takes time, because even when they do try them before they're fermented, it's going to have a different flavor profile after they're fermented, after the aging process, to where they have to try them again to make sure that's the direction they're trying to go.
Right. Well, and there's even the aspect of like if you go down to, let's say, Dominican Republic, right, and you go visit on a tobacco factory tour, and you get a hand-rolled cigar, like, hey, I just finished rolling this one, here you go. You got like 3 days to smoke that before it starts fermenting and you start getting ammonia.
Correct.
And then you got to sit there and let it ferment for a little bit, and then you got to stop that fermentation process to be able to smoke it. Otherwise, you're just going to get ammonia because that's what it's doing. It's fermenting. It's off-putting ammonia. So that cigar is going to taste different than one if you sit there and age it for a while and you let it ferment. Same thing, like if you age cigars in your humidor, they're going to become mellower. They're going to pull flavors from other cigars. If you have flavored cigars, you might get, and you store them together, you might get some of those flavors from your flavored cigars.
Go ahead and add a note there. Store your flavored cigar separate from your premium cigars.
Oh, what?
just a little side note.
No way.
Of course, while tasting, trying to figure this whole cigar game out, make sure you cleanse your palate before you smoke, especially if you're smoking in more than one cigar that day. You kind of want to, do that palate cleansing thing.
Yeah, and the thing with smoking more than one cigar a day is, sorry, that whiskey's too good to sit. And this is just me. This is a suggestion. I tend to go with my heaviest cigar that day. Like I try to go the heaviest cigar that morning, and then lighten up as I go throughout the day because. And that's just me. I like to start out with a heavier one and then go step down because I get all the flavor profile. But sometimes if I'm going back and forth between, light and heavy, full bodied, medium, and down, or I go from full to light to medium to light to back to full, my palate is all over the place and I just can't get the full. I found I can't get the full range of flavors.
I see that. And like you said, that's for you. For me, I'm a complete opposite. I'd rather go light than to heavy. And the reason why I like to go light to heavy is because light doesn't really overpower the palate, and it's normally a short finish. As by the time I get to the heavier normally, or it tends to go to the longer finish. Yeah.
And the finish of the cigar does that. I have to take that into consideration. Because there are some full-bodied cigars that have a short finish.
Right. And for listeners, if you just whatever, a finish is the palate trauma that the cigar leaves that taste in your mouth over time. Yeah. After you're finished smoking that cigar.
Yeah. I know a guy, he says, I don't like, he distills rum and kind of blends the rums, right? He makes rum. And he said, I don't like to smoke cigars because they traumatize my palate. I'm still tasting that cigar for 3 days afterwards. And I was like, you need to smoke lighter cigars then. So just those are some common tasting notes. That's, just a little bit of stuff. But so one of the first phases I try to do is I try to smell a cigar before lighting it. This goes into like tasting, right? When you're doing a wine tasting, a beer tasting, a whiskey tasting, or a spirit tasting, same thing. You smell the cigar, and you pull it fresh from a box, slide it out of that cellophane, smell it from head to foot, and before you cut it and light it. Now, here's a caveat to that: don't be that asshole that takes out a cigar, wipes your snot and your boogers all the way down it, and they go, and put it back in the box for the next person to take it. Don't be it. That's a dick move. Just saying.
Well, smelling the cigar, starting that whole process, that is getting all of your olfactory senses ready. It's like, hey boys, wake up. Wake the fuck up.
Right, because your sense of smell, it plays a part in your sense of taste, right? That's why when you smell something foul or something good, I can almost taste it.
Yeah. Well, it definitely pulling it out that cellophane. The different wrappers is going to entice you. The Connecticut broadleaf compared to the Ecuador Sumatra, San Andreas, Ecuador Habana, all those they have different aromas. And it's going, like I said, it's going to start waking up your little olfactory. You're going to be like, oh, this Sumatra, baby. I'm ready. Or what you got, Corojo?
I got a Corojo, yeah.
Corojo. What did I say, Corojo? What that fuck?
Yeah. EP Corojo? Are we talking about the brand? EPC, boys.
Oh.
Right. So you want to gently press that cigar's unlit foot to your nose and take a deep sniff. I don't even want to say press it to your nose. Go right underneath the nose. Don't wipe your boogers on it. And take a deep sniff of the raw tobaccos. You might get a smell of cedar, leather, chocolate, earth, pepper, something like that. You can kind of perceive forthcoming sweetness or spiciness, and you might get a hint of its strength. Might get a hint of its strength. If you smell it, like, ooh, this smells like this is going to be strong. you might couldn't be able to. All right, cool, got it.
Yeah. And it also can kind of give you a clue or indication of its freshness, so you know if it's not stale, or you know what you're getting into.
Right, and my thing is I always like to check the foot of a cigar before I light it, just to make sure there's no mold in there.
Well, I know some people like to see how it's rolled in there. I heard some people talk about the cinnamon roll look and all those. People roll, different cigar companies roll them differently. It depends on the torcedor that's rolling the actual cigar, but majority of them are going to have that spiral roll looking effect. So, I mean, if you look and it's supposed to be a long filler, and then you look and it looks like a whole bunch of short filler, you kind of know what you're getting into.
Right, of course. You about in your first third?
I am definitely in my first third, sir.
All right, what you got?
My first third, I am definitely getting.
Come on now.
Baking spices.
Baking spices.
Baking, like more of like a kind of a cinnamon, whatever, with subtle hints of chocolate. It's really, I don't want to say sweet because it doesn't have that sweet flavor profile, but it definitely has like a, not spicy like yours, but it's definitely a sweetie spice kind of flavor to it.
How interesting. All right. Yeah, I'm getting, there's a wood, like a woody creamy component, and then definitely spice.
Well, yeah, I would be disappointed if you didn't get spice, to be honest with you.
Yeah, it's there's a creamy component though, like it's not like vanilla, but it's just like it's got like a spicy cream kind of to it with like a little bit of wood and earth in there. It's good. It's good. After I got past that closed foot, man, that closed foot. I'm not a huge fan of closed foots.
Closed foots. You heard it here first.
Closed foots, closed feet.
I don't know what's the proper term for it.
I don't know. But anyways, that one was peppery. That wrapper is peppery. That Nicaraguan wrapper is real peppery. I will say that this cigar I'm not super impressed with the burn. I'm also a little bit disappointed. It keeps going out more often than I would like it to.
Huh. Is it densely packed?
I mean, the draw is good.
Okay.
It's not super densely packed from what I can tell. I mean, it feels nice. Everything is there for what I'm like, I expect a good cigar to be. It just, I lit it up, I puffed on it a little bit, I got to talking to you, I went back after like a couple minutes and it was out. And I was like, that's weird. So I relit it and talked a little bit more, puffed on it some more, tried to make sure I had a good ash on there to protect that ember. Went out again. So I was weird, but I'm having to puff on this more than I think I want to.
Okay. Your cold draw. Did you do a cold draw?
I did. I got chocolate, earth, and spice.
Okay, my cold draw, I really lean towards the light cinnamon, like a light cinnamon dusting. So okay. I kind of see where we were going there. After you cut the cap of your cigar, which is not the foot, it's the part you put in your mouth to puff on. You puff on the dry, unlit cigar for a few times, and this is called the cold draw.
Yep, right, cold. There's no fire, there's no ember. So you're just drawing air through that unlit cigar. And that gives you a sneak preview of what's to come.
I think it did that for us. You can taste the wrapper leaf in its raw, unlit state, because that's the preview we was talking about.
Yep. And there's no obstruction, so the air comes through your cigar free of obstruction. There's no ash, there's no old smoke there.
Yeah.
That sort of stuff. You can also kind of tell if it's the draw is too tight or too loose. You can kind of get a feeling for that.
Yeah, there's been a few times where I did the cold draw and I'm like, oh, this is loose. This is whew. I don't know about this one. And then after you put some fire to it, and the draw is like perfect.
Yeah. Conversely, I've had where I've lit it or I've cold, and I was like, man, this thing is tight. Now, closed feet on cigars are slightly different because you have that wrapper that's not trimmed right in front of the foot of your cigar, so it's going to be more difficult to get a cold draw through there because you're inhaling through basically extra layers of wrapper. But if you pull it too tight and it's just a normal cigar with no closed foot and it feels a little tight, you may want to cut it a little deeper, or go ahead and if you haven't got a cigar tool like a cigar poker, you may want to run it down there a little bit through your cigar a couple times. Try to open up some air passageways so that way you make sure you have enough draw, or cut it a little deeper.
All right. Or there's different cuts. Real quick, deep V cut is going to give you a different draw pull than if you was to actually punch or do a center punch. Yep. And it's also going to be slightly different from a straight edge cut. So yep. There's other ways. Some people like doing just a pin prick. Some people use their fingernail just to cut out a divot. Find out which draw you like best. I have discovered that different cuts are for different cigars. Yeah.
I am a huge fan of the deep V cut. I got a Colibri deep V cutter, and I use that thing almost exclusively on most of my cigars. Now, that being said, there are other times I've used a punch, I've used a guillotine, straight cut, stuff like that. It just kind of depends on different types of cigars, but my favorite is definitely the deep V. Now, I will say when I've done a deep V cut, there's not much I can do to cut deeper because it is already there. But what I do is if I do a deep V cut and it's drawing tight, I will cut 90 degrees opposite to the perpendicular to my first cut, and I'll make another deep V cut, and that's called a crown cut. That actually has helped me a lot of times open up a cigar and find, there it's packed there, but I'm getting good draws.
All right. Well, now that we've did our cold draw, we're ready. Now you want to light your cigar. You want to light it slowly, whether you're using matches or a torch. Make sure you're using the proper matches, not those sulfur matches. Let the sulfur burn off if you're using matches.
Please.
Then light your cigar slowly and don't hold the flame too close to the foot. When you do that, you char the cigar and you're going to get like a burnt flavor through it. And you're going to pull that burnt flavor through the whole chamber of your cigar.
Yeah, so I had a buddy, and he was new to smoking cigars, and he just got into it, and I invited him over, and we were out back smoking. And I said, I was like, do you want me to go ahead and just toast your cigar? And he goes, I don't know what you're talking about. I said, okay. And I was like, why don't you show me how you think you're going to like this? And I'll tell you he's like, cause he was like, well, I like them, but I only like flavored cigars because that way I could taste the cigar. Otherwise it just tastes burnt. And, he grabbed the lighter and he went straight to like he was lighting a cigarette. He went straight to like the bottom of the flame, and I was like, stop. So I had to show him to back up, light it, and inhale slowly, deep inhalations, not like where you're actually inhaling the smoke, but like deep draws, and get that flame, that just the tip of the flame. You don't need the bottom of your torch lighter to touch the foot of your cigar. Trust me, all you're gonna do is burn away a good chunk of your cigar.
Yeah, how I normally like toasting a marshmallow, you want to hold it just above the flame.
Yep.
Rotate it slowly until you get the wrapper, the filler, all the inside, the binder, and everything like lit almost evenly as possible. Drawing in slowly, as you said, puffing on it to make sure it is like even all the way across. And that way you will get a full flavor profile of that cigar.
Yeah, it makes a difference. He smoked one how he lit it. And I said, all right, let me light this for you. I said, and I'll tell you exactly what to do. So I held the lighter and I touched it. I said, now slowly rotate and draw in deeply, because he was going puff, 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 like and I was like, stop, you're killing me. So I was like, slow, rotate that cigar, and he did that, and he goes, this cigar tastes a million times better than the one I just smoked. He goes, I wonder if I got a bad cigar. I said, no, it's just the way you light it, man. So after you light it up, right, because the first few puffs can be slightly abrasive until the binder, filler, and wrapper are fully lit and combusting at the proper pace. But after you do that, a lot of smokers like to characterize the cigar's taste by dividing it into thirds. We do the first third, middle third, and last third. And the size will influence these thirds greatly. It'll if you're smoking a Robusto and then you smoke a Churchill of the same thing, you're gonna get different flavors. There's more filler. It's bigger. It's longer, so you have a lot more. The smoke is gonna cool down as it travels through your cigar, so you're gonna get different tastes. You're gonna have a lot more older air and smoke as you draw through it and you burn it down.
Yeah, once you got an even burn going, the beginning of the cigar will be the mildest portion of in most cases, of the cigar. It's because the smoke is traveling and cooling, like you were saying, before it reaches your palate. So the beginning should be the mildest part of the cigar. Right.
Cigars with a lot of complexity usually start off creamy and become spicy, or vice versa. They go spicy and then go creamy. The taste of a complex cigar will change while you're smoking it. It'll stimulate different areas of your palate, right? Your tongue tastes different things.
Yeah. Well, and in the reverse, the less complex cigar is going to maintain the same tasting notes from the beginning as you near the end. It simply becomes more intense as the heat from the cherry draws closer to your palate. So the flavor of a mild cigar should not be as complex as a full body.
Right, and that's partially why I don't like flavored cigars, because flavored cigars, you get that one flavor and that's what you get. Period.
Yeah, tend to be one note.
It's a one trick pony. But once you kind of get that, you can experience that cigar's aroma directly when you retrohale. So what I try to do is I try to blow out 80% of the smoke out of my mouth. I leave about 20% less, and then I blow out my nose, try to blow that smoke out my nose. And what that does is that kind of wakes up that olfactory sense and gives me other more subtle notes as I blow it out my nose. And I'm like, oh, I get this on the retrohale.
Yeah, I chuckled because I'm truly not a retro inhaler. That's not my thing.
Right.
Near the end of the cigar, or the nub, as some people like to refer to it as, is where the cigar can really taste its best, conversely becoming too strong to finish. So some people really love the nub portion, and that's why you have these pokers, sticks, pinches, clips, or whatever it is, so people can smoke it down to basically where they have nothing left.
Yeah, and I have done that on a couple cigars where what I do is I nub it, and I just sit there, and it's like you're smoking it down to where it's almost just too hot for your lips to even take. But it's so good, you still taste it so good that you just can't stop. But the heat and the oils in the cigar will culminate in the final inches after you've removed the band. And when you reach the end of the best tasting cigars, you just can't resist smoking the nub. But you got to be careful. Like I said, there's a reason there's clips. It's hot. It's fire, right? So you got to be careful not to burn your fingers, your lips, or even take a draw or ash the cigar when you're trying to draw that last little bit out.
I do know, like, I get a little excited when I get to the band, and then I can remove that band without destroying the cigar. That is normally like my Cadillac of smoking the cigar. But I must give a warning to those out there. If you get there and the cigar is just hitting you too much or punching in the face, like we like to say all the time, you may want to sit it down. Try something a little less, especially if you're starting to feel nauseous. You can try eating chocolate or some kind of sweetness to try to obtain, to kind of get rid of that nausea feeling. But I mean, if you're really getting down to that and you're feeling that way, please just stop. And next time, choose a lighter cigar or something a little less heavy.
Yeah, and I've noticed this, and you and me have done this. We've gone out before on basically empty stomachs. And we've gone out and we've smoked cigars, and I'll finish a cigar that I know that I can handle, and I'm like, man, I feel woozy. I feel like I got a nicotine buzz. This is kind of crazy. There's not enough like starches and stuff in my body to help metabolize everything. So I'm just kind of feeling like, woo, so you gotta just, I have to, there's times, know your limits. It's like drinking. Know your limits. You're not not a party animal or whatever. Or maybe you like feeling that way and that's what you want to go for. Go for it. But then, so after you smoke the last third, you get the aftertaste. Flavor from a mild beginner cigar will depart your palate usually as soon as you're done smoking. Now, not always. There are times where it's like, this is lingering on my palate for the next hour, but you drink a cup of coffee and you're like, yeah, I don't even taste the cigar anymore.
Yeah, I know I put aftertaste on the nose, but aftertaste is the same as finish. Yeah, it's just the same. So the stronger cigar with more robust cigars, they can linger on your taste buds for quite some time. I know I've smoked one before, and the next morning I'm like, yeah, I can still taste that cigar.
Yeah, I do that quite often. Usually I get it with like Maduros, Oscuros, spicier cigars, earthier cigars, and I'll wake up the next morning, I'm like, I still taste that cigar. And sometimes it'll be like, ooh, it just tastes like old cigar now. So I gotta go, I'm like, I'll need to go drink a cup of coffee, or let me go brush my teeth again, or whatever. But a long finish is usually desirable when you're sipping on a good bourbon or scotch with a cigar, because you can kind of continue to savor the two after the cigar is done.
Yeah, I know for me, if I'm going to have something I know is going to have a long finish, I try to get, not try. I normally drink it with something like XO. Right. Or something a little heavier, maybe Master Blenders 4 or Hennessy Black.
Yeah. I try to do the same. This whiskey is, it's a little bit lighter on the taste, which is okay because it's kind of pairing well. It's giving that sweetness, that creaminess of the cigar. It's kind of bringing that out a little bit more than just the spices. But you got to learn to trust your taste. If you do a blind tasting, so you remove the bands and you take a Davidoff and let's just say a Gurkha, right?
Yeah.
Just exegesis this. And you set them down in front of a cigar smoker, and you sit there and you pick one up and you taste it. Oh, this is really good. This must be the Davidoff. And then you smoke the other one. And you're like, this is okay. It must be the Gurkha or the Camacho or whatever. Well, you never know. You might be wrong. You might be like, oh shit, that was really good. All right, what is that? Let me try that. It's usually a good way to focus on the taste of the cigar without any preconceived notions about the brand or the cigar maker.
Yeah, and I actually enjoy doing that from time to time. What I would do is, if I can remove the band without destroying the cigar, I will take the bands off, one or two, and stick them in the humidor so I can forget what they were. Then later down the line, I will smoke them. Then like, okay, I get certain different flavors about this. Another way is we talked a little bit about it earlier, is the vertical tasting. It's the opportunity of tasting different sizes. So you can buy the same exact cigar, one in a Robusto or one in a Lancero, and then one in a completely different size, like a Churchill or a Gordo. Mm-hmm. And then you can actually you'll get the similar flavors, but I guarantee you'll see the change, or you'll taste the changes in flavor at different points of your thirds.
Yeah, actually, I have that in my humidor right now. I bought a Lancero Baccarat cigar, and I have a Toro sitting in the humidor. So I have a Lancero and a Toro of the same cigar. And one day I'm gonna just take them both out, and I'm gonna smoke the Lancero first, and then I'm gonna smoke the Toro and see what happens. Some cigar makers will put in just bullshit filler. And so it's just cheap filler that they're like, yeah, whatever, we're making a bigger cigar, doesn't really matter. Other cigar makers would be like, yeah, I still have extra of the good fillers, so I'm gonna make sure that I give the person what they want. It's just more of the same thing. Yeah,
and different cigar manufacturers are going to do that. Normally, the higher end ones are going to try to maintain the same flavor profile throughout.
Yep. So that is the phases of tasting a cigar. So you want to smell it, you want to taste, develop that palate, you want to smell it, your cigar, you want to do the cold draw, you want to light it slowly, and then try to just sit back and enjoy the first, second, thirds of your cigar. Nub it if you can or you want to, and then just remember, trust your tastes. You taste something, don't let somebody sit there and be like, nah, you don't taste that, you taste this. And it's like, no, I taste this other thing. Everybody's palate's a little bit different.
One last note before we jump into our leadership portion is if you really want to get into it, you can start a cigar journal. I keep a journal of certain cigars. I don't journalize every single cigar I smoke, but ones that I really look forward to, I journalize it. I say what my cold draw is. I say what my smell is before the cold draw. I say I write down my flavor notes for first, second, and third. I write down how long it takes me to smoke this cigar. Then I write down my finish. And then I wait some time and I smoke the same cigar and compare my notes. And that way I can develop my palate even better.
Yeah. Speaking of, are you in your second, third?
I am almost there. You want to hit it at the break, or you want to enforce it now?
I think I can do it now.
All right, let's do it.
So I'm getting like an allspice, or maybe maybe a seasoned salt or something like that. There's still the creamy component mixed with spice. It's good. Definitely an earthy, woodsy note in there. I'm having a hard time identifying exactly what that note is, but it's good. Getting a little bit of white pepper on the back end. I can taste it on my lips as I inhale. But it's good. This is mellowed out quite a bit from the first spice draw that I had. But it's very, very good.
Yeah, as you draw, not inhale. People are going to inhale these things. Draw as you draw the smoke in your mouth. I'm getting earthy, and that the cinnamon just will not go away. I'm telling you, it's got to be cinnamon. It's not like a red hot cinnamon. Like, it's more of the cinnamon that you would put on top of like donuts or something.
Like almost like a cinnamon toast crunch cinnamon.
Yes, because it's definitely not that fiery cinnamon. It's just regular cinnamon.
Interesting. Okay, very cool. Well, let's take a short break, and when we come back, we'll talk about methods and techniques for communicating change.
All right. Hey, everyone. Thanks for listening to Leadership of the Leaf. I'm just letting you know, if you want to see what kind of cigars that myself, Dice,
and Austin,
what we're smoking on each episode, check out our Instagram on Leadership of the Leaf. All one word.
At Leadership of the Leaf. And please, leave us a comment. Send us a message with what other questions or what you guys are smoking on. Maybe you guys have some suggestions for us that we'd love to give it a shot.
At Leadership of the Leaf on Instagram.
What's up, listeners? This is Jay St. Pierre, your outdoor adventures expert, YouTube channel, A Jeep Come True. Thanks for letting us in the air, nice, quick, and brief. Now let's get back to Leadership of the Leaf.
And welcome back to Leadership of the Leaf. So we talked about phases of tasting a cigar before the break, and now we're going to get into our leadership portion, which is methods and techniques for communicating change.
Oh, I don't like change, sir. It was fine the way we was working.
Are you sure? maybe the way we've always done things is not the best way to do things.
I've always done it this way.
Yeah, all right.
Yeah, you're like 90 years old, homie. It's 2023. It's not 1950. We have technology. Nah, I'm teasing. I'm pretty sure everyone has experienced that at some point in time. And so here's a few techniques of communicating that change that's going to happen.
Right. And as a leader, you got to be available and not resistant to change.
Wishy-washy. Is that the technical term?
Wishy-washy. Yeah, technical term.
Be clear and honest when communicating change to employees or subordinates or whatever your staff is.
Right. So any sort of spin, sugarcoating, or if you just throw a bunch of acronyms or jargon at somebody, it's just going to look like you're trying to hide something. Like, I immediately am suspicious of a leader who comes down and says, "Hey guys, we're going to change the SOP to this thing by COB, and I'm like, stop. Tell me what you need to tell me. What are we doing now? Well, I just told you we're changing the SOP. Got it. How? Like, you're not being clear here.
Yeah, for me, is when they come in with like these super huge, like college educated words.
Yeah.
But nobody knows what that word means, man. Let's pull out our thesaurus and let's use some dice dummy terms here, because I'm not buying what you're selling.
Right. I was actually watching George W. Bush's masterclass, and we all know George W. Bush for making slips of the tongue, right? You have Bushisms. He said on one episode, he goes, my CIA people would come in and they'd brief me on whatever was going on. Whether it's CIA, an intel officer, or whatever was going on, and they would try to use all these giant terms to try to make themselves sound smart. And he'd just go, "Wait, stop." He goes, "Other people weren't understanding them, but they were too afraid to say something." He goes, "I wasn't, so I just tell them to stop and tell them, just tell me what you need to tell me." And he goes, and I'd ask the dumb questions, and I'm a huge advocate of asking the dumb questions. Hold on, stop. I don't understand. I don't understand.
You are welcome.
Yeah.
I fucking love it, man. Let's dumb this thing down, man. Break it down to the brass tacks. Let's tell me.
I don't need you to sit there and use flowery terms about how I'm going to go accomplish producing widgets. Like, oh yeah, we're going to do this, and then we're going to use these types of tools and stop. All right, I don't care.
We're going to maximize our efforts by, changing
synergy and we're going to synergize everything. Stop. What are you doing? Oh, I'm going to coordinate with that team over there, and this is how we're going to get it done. Oh, why couldn't you just say that in the first place?
Well, I mean, yeah, you'll gain people's trust if you use simple, straightforward language and are completely upfront about what's changing, and also give an indication to why.
Yeah. I'm in a position I have to brief, high level individuals, and I've seen them where they've sat there and they've gotten briefed by somebody, and they're like, yeah, we got to do this, and this is changing. We need more money, and and they're like, stop. You just said you need more money. Why do you need more money? I just told you we got to do X, Y, and Z. No, you told me all this other flowery language. Tell me, I don't understand. And it always makes me laugh, because I respect that leader who goes, stop. I don't understand what's going on. Tell me what you need to tell me. And they're like, oh, and they break it down and they go, oh, okay, that makes sense. Why didn't you say that the first place? Oh, okay. you gotta make sure you don't talk down to the employees. Don't make them feel stupid. That's only gonna make them feel resentful and unvalued. Some companies can make the mistake of believing their employees, quote, can't handle the truth, but people respond well to respectful and honest communication.
Yeah, I know my wife came home with a story like that. She said one of the people that was supposed to be training them or whatever was talking down to them like their children, like their high school students or something like that. And she was completely resentful of that person from the beginning. And that was like day one of starting. And they had like 5 or 6 more days to go. So imagine how she felt throughout the whole thing. And if she felt that way, I'm pretty sure there's other people that felt that way. You got to understand that some people may have been doing this for years.
Right. And if you don't know what somebody knows and doesn't know, I ask, hey, I'm gonna throw some technical stuff at you, and I don't want to assume that you know what I'm talking about, and I also don't want to insult your intelligence. So if I'm dumbing this down too much, tell me, and I could speed it up. But if I'm going too fast and you don't understand, please tell me so I can make sure that we're on the same page here.
I've definitely used that numerous times.
Yeah, because I'm not, and usually that tells somebody like, hey, I really do want to communicate with you, and I do want to make sure that we're on the same page, but I just don't know what you know, especially coming into a new situation. If you got new employees or you're a new leader of a team, people could be doing that job for a bunch of years, but, let's say they're all, not to pick on baby boomers, but let's say they're all baby boomers and you start throwing a bunch of, software type terms or technological terms, they may go, I don't understand. Right.
Well, I put it in the same respect. No disrespect to my mother, but I do that when I'm helping her out with something on the computer. Like, just click on. Whoa! What do you mean click? Okay, I got you. All right, move your mouse over, and then now we can get the goal accomplished a little faster.
Right.
I had to figure out her level of understanding.
Yeah. Employees at merged companies usually can understand why changes are being made less than those at non-merged companies. It's usually, hey, I always like to think of, there's a bunch of cell phone companies, right? Back in the early 2000s, there was Alltel, and then Alltel was bought by Singular, and then Singular was bought by AT&T, right? So those companies, those employees at Alltel and then Singular, they can understand, hey, I need to change my ways of doing things. It's not Singular anymore. It's now AT&T, or it's not Alltel. It's now Singular. Like, I got to obviously go conform to their standards and how they want to do things. But if you just come into a new team and start just changing things, and nothing has changed, no companies have merged, they might be like, why are we changing this? Everything was working great before.
Yeah, I can definitely understand that. I mean, if someone else is signing my check, okay, I got you. You want to do it this way? You like the color red more than blue? Fine, let's make this happen. But if it's the same person signing my check, and then all of a sudden, not just gradually, but all of a sudden we're doing this now, like, whoa, why? What the hell is going on? So
right, we've been doing it for years. Yeah. And the longer you've done something, I was actually talking with another coworker of mine. He even said, I realize now that I'm at the age where I'm starting to get stuck in my ways, and I'm being more resistant to change, and I have to every day remind myself, no, I can't do that, because there's new people and they want this. I can't just say, well, we've always done it this way, so why can't we just keep doing it that way?
Well, I'm part of that don't like change generation, and I know in the shuffle, it's easy to forget that employees need the basics, and I'm part of that need the basics. If you tell me the what and the why, I got you. If you tell me because I said so, now I'm a little reluctant.
Right, yeah, you're going to be a little bit more resistant to that change.
Yeah.
So, and that's why, number 2, you got to use care when communicating organizational change. It's not just public events that create unease. Human resource changes or often strike a personal chord with employees. Suddenly, the company is monkeying with their health care, or maybe something else, or hey, I got a healthcare and you change this. Well, how's that going to affect my child that needs that healthcare? Then you say, hey, we're changing from HSA to a HMO. Like, wait, what? Why? What's going on? What does that mean for me now?
Yeah, before the change, you guys was going to pay for my kids' braces. Now that we change and I got a $2,000 copay? Whoa, wait.
Right.
So, yeah, I can definitely understand that.
Right. So, the company might be implementing an outcome-based wellness program, forcing employees to make lifestyle changes rather than inspiring them to focus on what matters most to them. I've seen this with a lot of companies. Like, hey, we put in a new gym down in the basement, and we'd like for you guys to go down and start using it. Some companies do this to help get a discount on healthcare services or their healthcare insurance. Hey, look, my employees go and work out an hour a day. And then the healthcare insurance is a little bit cheaper because now it's healthy people are easier to take care of. They don't cause as much insurance claims.
Yeah, that's when the company is trying to look out for the better of the employees, also to help them with their healthcare costs. But the employees may not want to be healthier or whatever. So it's a change that has to be gradually set in to the what and the why. Because some old heads like myself, I don't want to run anymore. My running days are over.
Yeah, well,
you want me on a treadmill?
Yeah, you get a bigger guy or gal or whatever, and hey, I want you guys to start running a mile a day. They're gonna look at you like, the hell did you just say to me? You want me to run? Run where? From what? Like, there ain't nothing on fire. Take these concerns into consideration when deciding how to communicate your change in the workplace, and outright acknowledge them right then and there. Yeah, I get it. Like, hey, I need to work out. I'll keep with this analogy. Hey, I get it. I need to work out. Working out helps me be less stressful, a little bit more healthy. Cool. I've seen companies bring in diet. If you eat less McDonald's and more McAllister's or Panera or whatever, like, that's going to help you in the long run. Like, so they can kind of help, they eat more McAllister's. That can help them be a little bit more healthy. Hey, you eat less fast foods and processed sugars and everything else, and a little bit more greens, then hey, we might save a little bit of money. The company saves a little bit of money. You save some money on your healthcare costs, and by the way, it's also better for you.
Sometimes people just need to feel like they are heard. In times when trust is damaged, and empathy and understanding are the first steps to rebuilding that.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about any argument with your significant other, with a business partner, with whatever, the first thing is we even talked about this in 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Seek first to understand, then to be understood, right?
Yeah.
If you sit there and you say, hey, I want to understand where you guys are coming from. All right, cool. They can sit there and go, well, I don't like these new changes because I don't feel like I need to go run, or I don't feel like I should have to eat, what you have any say over what I eat. Right. Okay, cool. Got it. I understand that. But if we can band together and do this, then it'll help us out. I like to liken it to Southwest, the airline. Back when all the airlines were going under and needing bailouts, Southwest came out and said, hey guys, if you can save us X amount we have enough money right now to last until January. We have enough money to last until June. But if you guys could save this many dollars a day by energy costs or however, then we can last until December and we'll be good. that year, not only did they make it to December, but they actually posted profits in a time when no airline was posting profits, and they actually became stronger for it. People were turning off extra monitors. They were turning off lights they don't need. They were unplugging coffee makers. They were doing other small things to help make sure that the company could last until December, and they posted profits, and they said, "Oh, this works. Okay, cool." And they started making that a part of their culture.
Well, that falls right in line with the next area that we're going into, is where you tell employees what's in it for them. Like, we know the change is for the company, but what's in it? What's in it for me? Why do we need to do this change? It's the age-old marketing credo. What's in it for me? We're all looking out for number one, so hyping good corporate citizenship as a reason for change is a waste of time. What's in it for me?
Right. So, you come up and you say, "Hey, we need you guys to turn off lights that you're not using." Okay, why? Well, if you don't, we only have enough money to last until June. If you do, then we should have enough money to last until December, and then we could start looking at other things. Oh, okay. Got it. I'll be the first one to start turning off lights that I don't need.
I'll be the light police up in this mofo, man.
Yeah, click, 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 click.
Well, I mean, that's because you explain the benefits of the change and what the employees can expect. So we can continue business, and we're now in the profit if we make these changes.
Right. You got to acknowledge that. Everyone may not like what's changing. Got it. Acknowledge that. But there's usually an upside, so outline what the upside is too. If there is no upside, then you got to say so. You got to say, "Hey guys, I know this sucks and there's no really upside, but here's why we got to make this change." Admit what's happening. Well, this sucks, and talk about what you need to do to make the change as smooth as possible.
Well, what's very important after that, especially if there's really no upside for the employees, what's really important after that is you want to thank your employees for their patience, their cooperation, and sticking through it to the end, sticking through it through the whole shift, sticking through it as a team all together.
Yeah, and I always say thanks is kind of lost, especially with corporate citizen, good corporate citizenship. Be loyal to the company. That's kind of changing. The days of where you got a job at a company and stayed there for 20, 30 years, those days are gone.
Yeah.
It is a new time. People will not stand for, hey, just be loyal to the company. Be a good person for the company. I don't know how many times I've read articles and people are like, yeah, they denied my vacation that I had told them was on the books for the entire year as the same vacation I take every year. They tried to deny it, so I just quit, and they didn't realize how important I was, and I cost them a huge amount of money or whatever the case is. And it's like, okay, why did that company not accommodate them? You got to look at what's going on. Did the person do wrong and they just being a jerk, or did the company not do right?
Yeah, I do know when it comes to like thanking your employees, one caveat that as a leader, as I found out, is best to do a blanket thank you to everyone, and then also go back through and pinpoint certain thank yous to certain people. Like, "Hey, Austin, thank you for what you did with those reports the other day. It really helped out, made the company look very well. Susie, thank you for making sure all the monitors are cut off at the end of the night. Yeah, I don't think you realize how much money that saved the company in the long run." Like, you go down a list of pinpoint more detail of a thank you, because then that lets the subordinates or your employees know that, hey, he's paying attention to what's going on. He's not just saying thank you to the masses. He actually knows, he's in the weeds. He knows what's going on. He knows what I do.
Yeah, and I'm not always the best at this. I'll be the first to admit it. But,
I'm the second, or I'm the first A. However,
yeah, but I will do blanket thank yous, and then I don't like to. I usually don't end up pinpointing people during like a big conference meeting or whatever. I usually wait until people are at their desks and go by and individually go, hey, by the way, I know I already said this before, but thanks again for X, Y, and Z. And they're like, oh, you're paying attention to that? Yes, I was. Thank you. Oh, okay. Well, you didn't say that in front of everybody. Right. But I wanted to come say thank you face to face and not in a big mass setting.
You know what? Thinking about, I don't think I've ever said thank you to a big mass setting.
I've said it to, like, you know, my shift or my team or whatever. Hey guys, thanks everything for all your hard work. And then I go back and individually like, hey, this week you really helped me out by doing this, this, and this. And I'm like, oh man, that's cool. Thanks. I'm like, I know I didn't say it out there just because I don't think, you know, I don't want to take up people's time, but I really do appreciate that you did X, Y, and Z. And they're like, oh, usually I get a lot of, oh, okay, cool. Yeah, I didn't realize you paid attention to that. Yes, I did.
Guess I'm an asshole.
Yeah,
that's okay. Where are we at?
So our next point is set expectations with change management communication. So employees usually will feel reassured and are quicker to get on board when you have a clear picture of exactly what is going to happen and when. I get it. Things change. But if you can say, hey, this change is coming down and we're going to stop doing the old way at this point, and we're going to but I want to try to pick up the new way and start practicing it here, or this program is going to quit being supported as of this date. So start using this new program. People are usually like, okay, cool. I might as well just start using the new program now.
Yeah, I tone this to vision. So if the company's not merging or anything and you're just trying to change to get more you're looking at the 2025 picture for the long run, or whatever year this is going to be aired. Well, this year, but you know, if you listen to it later. However, it's good to have like a step-by-step list, maybe some graphics, maybe employees respond better to graphics, a to-do list or something, whatever you need to use for them to see what vision you're trying to aim for. And this is to make sure you set the expectations by explaining the process to the people so they clearly see your vision or clearly see the road ahead. So they're not just blindly just following you because, you know, you sign their paychecks.
Right. Yeah. And that's the thing. Like, so, you know, programs get outdated, you know, and maybe the contract with the old company is that old program is running out and you guys found a new program that you like even better. And you guys, hey, we're going to stop using this program because the contract is ending because they wanted too much money. And so now we're going to start using this new program. It's got the same features and even more. And we're going to have a couple classes and training on how to use it. And just so you guys are aware, the old program is going to be still online and still acceptable until the end of the fiscal year. After the end of the fiscal year, you have to change over to this new program whether you want to or not. So please start getting in the new program and, you know, getting familiar with it. Oh, okay, sure thing, boss.
Yeah, switching to this new program is going to, we used to produce 10 widgets a week. With this new program, once everyone gets their feet wet with it, we're going to easily glide to making 20 widgets a week because this new program is more efficient, or however you need to word it. But yeah, just clear communication with a roadmap to where we're trying to go.
Next point would be tell employees what they need to do. The term call to action gets tossed around so much for good reason.
This is what we're doing.
This is what we're doing. It's critical to outline what needs to be done and when. Hey, turn it over to this new program. You need to start getting trained on it. It's going to sunset at the end of the fiscal year. Boom. What do we need to do? Get trained on the new program. When? By the end of the fiscal year. Got it. I understand perfectly.
Yeah, this is what people are looking for. That's what they want. Normally, like there's some kind of training. I need everyone trained on this program by said date before the fiscal year turns. I need everyone to initial or sign off that they have been properly trained. If you need more training, we will provide it. Normally, you can kind of use like bullet statements, put stuff in bold. links to websites, highlight whatever's necessary for this action to take place. By December 1st, everyone needs to have this done blank now by December 1st is the drop dead date. And I mean, it just sets that point, that precedent, so all employees know what they need to do.
Right. Even if there isn't an essential next step for your employees, create one. Hey, guys, this program is going to go away. I get it. You know, it may not be today. It may be tomorrow. I don't know. But here's what I need from everybody. I need you guys getting this new thing as of this date. Well, hey, why is your team already stopping this program? We're not going to sunset this until it's not going to end until 2025. Right. No, I understand. But rather than continuing in our old ways, I might as well just change over to the new one. And that way my team's ahead of the curve.
Correct. I mean, something as simple as like the cooks have to learn how to use the vacuum cleaner for some reason. Will a cook ever use the vacuum cleaner? No, the cook probably will never use the vacuum cleaner. But because of our new standards that are set in place by this date that are written in bold right here, you need to make sure that you learn how to use the vacuum cleaner. Whether you're a cook, a janitor, housekeeper, waiter, everyone needs to learn this task. Yeah.
Make sure everyone feels involved. They'll join you through the change if they feel involved. It's called creating change agents. If they feel as they own a part of the process, as they own a part of that change, they're more likely to go through with it. But if you just force this change on them, hey, this is what we're doing, suck it up, get it at the program or get out.
Suck it up, buttercup.
Yeah, they're going to be like, nah, fuck you, I ain't doing that.
Cascade leadership messages on change. Change communications are generally best delivered from the top, from the highest point. Then from that highest point, you want to cascade it down to your your capos or your mid-management or your whoever it is until you get to the lowest setting of your business stature or however your business is set up.
Right. So go from the CEO. His CEO is going to provide a broad overview. Then you go down to a senior VP. They're going to provide a little bit more detail. Then your directors and managers, and they're going to continue to discuss it in more detail with their teams. And they're going to say, hey, this is how we're doing it. So the CEO gives you a broad overview to the entire company of, hey, we're going to change over to this. And then they're going to have meetings with their senior VPs, and the senior VPs are going to get a little bit more detail, and then it's going to go down and down and down, and then finally the foot soldiers at the end go, all right, cool, what are we doing, boss? And you're like, well, here's this new thing that we're doing, and this is why, and this is how, and this is what's going on, and this is coming straight from the top. Remember when he talked about that this new change? Oh yeah, I remember when the CEO came and addressed us all. Cool, this is how we're doing it. All right, cool, sure thing, boss.
The main thing using this cascade that is vital and important is that everyone has to buy in, like all the way down into once you get to mid-management and the mid-manager is like, hey guys, I know this sucks, but we're going to do it. We can't have that. You got to have everybody with the buy-in. You got to have everybody saying, hey, this cool thing is happening, not this sucky thing is happening. Everyone has to be on the same page and same side of what the CEO is bringing down the whole chain.
Right. There's a time and place to disagree with your leaders. It's not in front of the masses. It's not in front of the foot soldiers. If you're a manager or senior VP or something and you disagree with a change, disagree in private, and then in public support that change, because otherwise it's going to cause a rift in your culture and in your company.
Yeah, dissension amongst the troops.
Right.
There's a variety of ways to get the message out there to make sure you use like emails, which I don't really care too much for doing emails. I prefer on-hand meetings, company communication. Even if you have to get down to it to where you got people working from home and stuff like that, you can use home mailings. It's just this, you can do a frequent asked question board or something like that. What you want to do is make sure that all the details are written out somewhere.
Right. If you have a Facebook page for your company, And, you know, I don't know how many times I've come home and my wife goes, "Hey, did you know the company's doing this?" I'm like, "I just found out about that. How'd you know about it?" She's like, "Oh, it was on Facebook." Oh, shit.
Well, what
you know? Well, damn. All right, cool. You know, so then, especially when it comes to, hey, this is going to affect your families. You know, hey, we're changing over to this new healthcare program. All right, cool. You know, here's the details. Here's a link to where all the questions that we've gotten asked. Here's a link to where they're answered. Here's the details. Remember, engage in direct conversations. Create opportunities for employees to privately deliver messages or ask questions. You know, do an Ask Me Anything meeting. Hey, I set up an Ask Me Anything meeting on Microsoft Teams. It's every week at this day at this time. So if you guys got any questions, I'll be on there. Feel free to ask me anything. All right, cool, sure thing, boss.
Main thing when you have those Ask Me Anything kind of meetings and stuff like that, you want to make sure your people feel like they can ask the tough questions. They can ask personal questions. Pretty much they can ask any question. That way the information can, one, travel back up the chain if need be, or everything can get answered right there on the forefront.
Right, and that's where you got to make sure that your middle managers, your directors, your VPs, everybody's up on the new process, on the new change or whatever. So that way, if they do get asked questions, they're not just going, "I don't know, the CEO just said we have to do this." That's not a good answer. Be like, "Hey, okay, hey, yeah, I know. Actually, I do know the answer to that, and here's where I can point you to the direction of how to find that answer." Or, "Hey, did you know that there's these Ask Me Anything meetings, and that would be a perfect time to bring that up because I don't have that answer, and I actually didn't even think of that question. But let's hop on this meeting together and let's get that answer."
Yeah, basically, what you want to do is you want to target your change of management of communication. What I'm saying there is you want to give careful thought to whether a specific audience or group is more affected by the change. For an example, with like healthcare changes or something like that, you may want to develop a communication specific for families of those that have the need for that healthcare. For that has like chronic conditions, like your son needs braces or your daughter needs braces or something like that. You want to make sure you isolate all those people so they can have a clear and concise communication, because that is directly going to affect them, as opposed to the 22-year-old that just got hired that doesn't even have a family yet.
Right, and if a change is isolated within a department or facility, communicate it widely but show employees closer to the change that you're invested in their experience. Hey, the cooks are now going to have to, take out the trash and vacuum their place, so this is how it's going to affect this company wide. But to my cooks directly, I want to say, I understand that this is frustrating, but if we do it this way, then I can give bonuses at the end of the year. I'm like, oh, okay, cool, got it. Now I know what's in it for me. Now I know why. Now I know what. And hey, I understand that this is going to change. This is going to affect you guys the most. It's going to affect the cooks the most. The waiters may not need to know this as much, but they may wonder why. Hey, at the end of the night, why am I getting slower service when normally I was getting faster service? Well, it's because now they have to vacuum, they have to take out the trash and everything else. Okay, cool, got it.
Well, I mean, once you set up like your target audience, once you put the blanket out there and you said change is coming, then you target your audiences down for very specific examples of what we were giving. Then you're not going to overwhelm everyone in the organization with such menial topics. Like right. if I'm a waiter, I really don't care what the cooks are doing, because I never really cared what the cooks are doing, but I know change is coming. But you target the cooks more because that's going to affect, the change is really going to affect them more than the actual waiters.
Right. The waiters need to know that the cooks are changing and what they're doing, but they don't need to know all the nitty-gritty details of what the cooks need to know.
Right, and the cooks need to know. They need to know the bold statements, the to-do lists, and know everything like that. So you just don't want to overwhelm the masses with something that's really more targeted.
Yeah. Last bullet point, create two-way strategies for communicating change. Remember, we said it already. Employees need to feel heard.
Right. There's nothing worse than when you have a group and then the group starts whispering amongst yourself like, this is stupid, this is whatever. But no, you want to stop that. Be like, hey, guys, if you have any concerns or anything, please bring them up now. I want to have a great, clear and concise two-way communication. That way everyone's voice is heard.
Yeah, I don't know how many times I've walked away from meetings when I was a foot soldier and I just got told about a change and I walked out of that meeting going, well, this is dumb because now I don't even understand X, Y, and Z. They didn't even answer all those questions. And, and so now as a manager, I've walked and I tell people, hey, I need this change and this is why, and this is, how I want it to be changed and blah, 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 blah. Does anyone have any questions? This is the time to bring them up. Please tell me what's going through your head. I want feedback. Oh, okay. Well, you want feedback? I'll give you some feedback. This is dumb. Like, got it. I understand that you may think this is dumb, but let me explain why this is actually needed. Oh, okay. That makes sense. Got it.
Yeah. Normally
they felt heard.
Yeah. Elaborate more on what part of this is dumb. What exactly is dumb about what's going on? I need more than it's just dumb, because dumb is a very broad statement. What is dumb? I'm a cook. Why am I vacuuming? Got it. Let me explain to you in detail.
Right. Exactly. Maybe a dedicated email is a great start, but a town hall or a series of town halls goes one step further. Hey, it's more personal, and if you execute it right, it feels like we're all in this together. Hey, I'm a cook. Why am I vacuuming? Let me tell you why you're vacuuming, and da-da-da. Okay, cool. Got it. Now, I'm going to set up this Ask Me Anything meeting, and I'm going to set up a meeting, and I want you guys to use that time to ask me whatever it pops in your head. Maybe you don't think about the question right now. I don't know how many times I've walked away from a meeting going, yeah, all right, cool. I'm with this change. And then a week or so down the road, oh, well, or maybe the next day, hey, what about this? What about that? Or I've talked with, my wife, and she's like, well, hey, did you ask about X, Y, or Z? And I'm like, fuck, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah, I do understand the setting up like an email or a hotline or however you want to do it, but I'm a big fan of town halls or group meetings. Have that initial group meeting, then have another group meeting for the Ask Me Anything type questions. Then for good or whatever, just have a third. Have one more and be like, hey, this is our final one. Please shoot any questions you got right now. We want to make sure everything is clear and concise and moving forward.
Right. Or, and I always like to say, hey, if you guys think of anything after this meeting, please channel it up. Talk to your managers, talk to your directors. They'll get to the VP, and then, if they don't have the answer, come to me. I'm happy to answer any and all questions. I just need to know what the question is. And maybe it's a question that I didn't even think to ask.
Well, when it comes to when the people are asking those type questions, one thing I hope I did is I want to make sure I answer the questions honestly. But saying that, you have to be willing to accept the honesty that I'm going to give you. So be prepared. If you want to ask a question, I'm going to give you the honest answer. You have to be willing to understand that it's the honest answer. It may not be what you want to hear, but it's going to be the honest answer.
Right. And sometimes the, honesty hurts. It sucks. Hey, why am I vacuuming? Why am I mopping my own floors or doing whatever? That's the janitor's job. Got it. The company is not posting enough of a profit for me to be able to pay the janitorial company. I can't let things go into just to get dirtier. So now I need to change this up. And yeah, I understand that it sucks, but until I start posting more of a profit, then I'm going to have you guys help me do some cleaning around here. Oh, okay. Yeah, that does suck. Right. I understand that. But unless you want to lose jobs and start having me cut people out, then I'm gonna do what I can first to not lose any employees.
Correct.
I'd rather lose a contract with the janitorial company than lose employees.
So bottom line, everything that we went through, bottom line is speaking clearly and honestly is the key to communicating with employees at any time, but especially during uncertainty and sometimes unsettling times of change. I'm going to say that again. Speaking clearly and honestly is the key to communicating with employees.
Man, honestly, you know, I've said this before, and I'll continue to say it. I would say probably 90 to 95% of problems can really be done and gone away with if people just communicated clearly and honestly. And that goes two ways. That makes sure that the employees are communicating that way. Hey, I don't like this because of X, Y, and Z. And the company goes, got it. I understand that this sucks because of what you just said. I had to take that into consideration. But if I don't do this, this is what's going to happen. So I'd rather have this happen than that because that's worse. All right, cool. The employee goes, got it. Now that makes sense. Yeah. But if you just walk away and go, man, this sucks. This guy doesn't know what he's doing. You're not helping yourself.
We're going to go back through real quick. Methods and techniques for communicating change. Be clear and honest when communicating change to employees. Use care when communicating organizational change. Tell employees what's in it for them. Even if there's not something in it for them, make something in it for them. Set expectations with change. Management communications. Tell employees what they need to do. Cascade leadership messages on change. Target your change management communications and create two-way strategies for communicating that change.
Clear, honest communication.
I don't know how else to say it better.
I don't either. All right, final third, Dice.
Final third, my earth is switched to, I guess the best way I can describe it is like a dark earth, like a deep earth, almost in the family of beets. And I'm going to go on air right now and say I don't like beets. And there's leather in the aftermath here.
All right. I'm getting white pepper, spice, and an earthy, woodsy component.
All right. Oof. I'm going to be fully transparent. I did a deep V cut on my Rocky Patel 60. My advice is not to do a deep V cut. My advice is to either punch or do a guillotine or straight cut. Because I ruined my cap doing a deep V cut.
Yeah.
Great cigar, by the way. I'm
good.
Not a fan of beets though, so I probably would stop like right about now because I don't care too much for beets.
Boxworthy 5-pack.
I saw what you did there, yes sir. 5-pack, definitely 5-pack.
Okay.
Just because of the beets. If it didn't have the beets at the end, it would be 100% boxworthy for me. Got it.
I think mine, it was definitely a spicy cigar. It was good. My cup of tea, probably not, but I wouldn't be upset if I had a 5-pack. Lean more towards singles, but if there was a deal on a 5-pack where it was like, hey, it's 20% off of a 5-pack versus singles, I'd probably just go with the 5-pack. I wouldn't be upset by having some of these in my humidor.
All right. This, sir, has been a wonderful episode.
Yes. We talked about phases of tasting a cigar and then change management and communication.
Yes, sir.
All right. Until next time, I'm Austin.
And I'm Dice.
We'll catch you guys on the next one.
Great leaders smoke great cigars.
Thank you for listening to Leadership of the Leaf. The comments and opinions expressed by the host and guests does not reflect the opinions of those that broadcast this show, nor does it reflect any of our affiliates.
Don't forget, we need to follow the podcast so we know when new episodes drop.